Hi there, this is Mia from MiMo Design Laser Files, and today I'll present these new cute cutting board treat trays. It's the first design, but I think I'll go ahead and make a bunch of other designs for Christmas and home decor and stuff like that. So this tutorial will be general on how to use these or make them. So you might not have this Easter Bunny design, but this is what I'll make to show you the tutorial. So these are cut from 10mm wood. If you can't cut thick wood, you could layer them. I included a blank version that you could glue together with the front. Take note that I reversed it, so the pretty side that you'll see will be the back on your board. So this is the scored file, this is the engraved file. I also included a file with a scored design, but an engraved handle. If you think these are a little bit boring, I also included additional layering that you could layer on top. You could either layer them and supplement, or you could remove the already made eggs and carrots and replace them with layered stuff. Since these are plywood, I know that I'll be questioned about food safety, and I'll be honest and say that plywood is not food safe per se, because the glue that they use to adhesive the layers are toxic epoxy glue. Since this will only be a surface board, there's not much to worry about because the surface is not toxic. It's the epoxy that they use for layering that is. So unless you put on something really hot that will kind of melt the glue and help it penetrate the surface, it is safe as is, as long as you don't touch those edges. Anyway, since these are going to be treat trays and will have liquids on them as well as carrots, I'd like to make them waterproof somehow. To do that, you can either use varnish, you could use polyurethane, you could use shellac. There's a ton of opportunities. I use varnish for kitchen countertops. I have them in various colors. These are food safe when applied, and as said, I have them in a bunch of colors, so that's pretty neat because I can then mix and match. You could also use regular staining and then give them a coat of shellac or clear varnish or whatever. Just a clear coat that's food graded. Any stain and material that you'll apply to this is food safe once it's cured for, I think it's 2 months. But I know that a lot of you can't wait that long to get your products shipped. So use something that is food safe to begin with. With that said, let's get on board. After I cut these, the scored version took me 6 minutes. So this board is super profitable. The engraved version took me 31 minutes. So it's not as profitable, but I know that a lot of you prefer engraved designs instead of scored designs. I actually feel the opposite way, but that's my opinion. So you can make the version you want, and once you've made it, what I like to do is sand it nice and smooth. I never mask my wood. I always sand it afterwards, and in this case I kind of angled my sander a tiny bit to make it more round on the edges. I did make a video on that as well, and I'll show you it in the end of this one. But back to treatment, you could also just use oil or wax or something like that. But as said, I'll be using my varnish. This is kitchen board or furniture varnish from Luxens. It's a Italian brand, or actually it's a Leroy Merlin brand. And Leroy Merlin is French, as far as I could see. But this is bought in Sicily, where I'm stationed. So this is a clear one. I'll use that for the skirt board. This is my walnut medium, and I'll use that for the engraved one. The reason why I'll give my engraved one some color is because I actually think my engraving is a little light and I want to darken it. And staining engraved stuff is absolutely great for darkening the engravings. So I'll start with the skirt board. And also for these layered eggs and carrots, I already pre-painted some of them. And I just used my acrylic paint markers. I have some dual tip, dual color, bought from Amazon. They are pretty cheap. I'll post a link in the description. So let's move this aside and show you how to apply. So when I'm applying stain, paints, chalk paint, whatever I'm using, I always like to use foam brushes like these. So for a big board, I would like to use my big one, but this one doesn't really fit in the can, so I'll use a small one just to apply some of my varnish. Like that. And I can now work with my larger brush. And you could use these designs on store-bought cutting boards as well if you wish, but I made these because they are really profitable. So since these are made from 10mm, I can actually fit 3 boards in one single sheet. Of my sheets I use 60 by 40 centimeter and have a 80-watt CO2 laser. But since I can fit 3 of them, and if I do the skirt board, the price for material will be $1.72. So you could maybe see why I prefer to make my own instead of buying them, because even though you find cheap cutting boards at around $5 or so, this will still bring me more profit than buying a cutting board. So I'm actually done with coating this one, and I'll just let it dry. Once it's dry, I'll do the back. So back to this one. Change my brushes. And the great thing about varnish is that once I give it the first coat, if I sand it just a little bit and give it the second coat, it will be smooth as I don't know what. So you could see that I'm pushing my varnish or stain down into the engravings because that will darken them. You might see the difference. These are my regular stains, and these are, there's not much difference if you look at it like this. But when I'm making it, I can see the difference. So to the sanding part, I'll show you that video. If you like to find more of my files or you want to get some more advice, I have my own Facebook helping group that's called Laser with MiMo Design. I also have a YouTube channel called MiMo Design Laser Files, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, Pinterest, you name it. So just search for MiMo Design Laser Files. And I hope I'll see you again. Now that both my boards are done, the first thing I'll do is sand them nice and smooth. First, I never use masking tape, so I'll sand off all my residue. And since they are pretty flat, I'll take my sander and angle it, kind of like this, to give it a little more rounded board shape. So I'll show you, and then I'll speed up the video and get back to you. So I sanded both sides now, took 5 minutes, and to wipe off my sand dust, I'll just take a cloth and for the engravings I like to use a dry paintbrush and just get them out of there. Like that. And I don't know if you can see the difference out here because I'm in the sun, but I rounded all the edges, so instead of looking square and edgy like this one, it's now rounded and smooth, and also super nice to hold.